Yo, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today, people, today we're here for Avataro Sentai Donbrothers episode 44, and it finally happened. They know who each other's is in this episode, but this is a very emotional type episode. This was a tearjerker, I guess. This was kind of a tearjerker episode for me. We got 6 more episodes after this. 6 weeks. We got 6 more weeks of Donbrothers, and I'm really hating to see it go. I love this freaking Sentai. And we got some more stuff about like Rumi-chan and Jiru and all those people, stuff like that. And I'm wondering, how's that gonna work? Like, you dropped this huge bombshell in this episode, but let's go ahead and get into it, guys. But before we get into this, thank you all so much for watching, liking videos, commenting, views, all that good stuff. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Now let's get into it, y'all. So this episode basically starts off with Tsubasa being called in by the rest of the team. Like, at this point, they still don't know who each other is, but he calls them in to exit, and Taro asks him, like, how do you know about the Juto? I mean, how do you know about the beastials? And we see that Kijino is trying to keep Miho in the house, basically not want her to go anywhere, not want her to go to work, stuff like that. 'Cause I guess he just doesn't want her to get hurt. He doesn't want her, anything happening to her, especially with the whole her turning back into Natsumi thing. And he asks them, like, they asked Tsubasa, they asked him, like, what do you know about the Juto? I mean, the bestials. What do you know about, since you're one of the people asked to be released by them, how do you know how to, get to the slumber forest? They're asking him these questions, and he basically tells them that he does not know how to get there or get back there. He just was sucked up by a Juto and woke up there, and he really doesn't know how he doesn't know how to do this stuff. So then he basically tells them that, hey, if you destroy the bestial that the person is copying, then the person that they're copying will, be saved or will be released from the forest technically. And then Taro's like, wait a minute, that's not what I heard. And he goes back to when Juto Natsumi, when she tells him that, hey, if you kill the bestial, if you kill the person that bestial's copying, then that person will also die. So yeah, Tsubasa's been told something completely different, even completely different from what Natsumi told Taro, because Sonoi, she told Tsubasa that if you kill them, then that person will be released. So we got 2 different stories here, stuff like that. We see that Tsubasa is looking all throughout the city trying to find Natsumi and find Juto, basically Juto Natsumi, and basically and take her out. And we see that Sonoi is watching him from afar. She's saying that, you need to save her, save her as your love this week, stuff like that. I want you to go ahead, just go ahead. Why are you hesitating? Hurry up and go kill her. So it seems pretty sketchy. It's real sketchy on what Sonoi is actually doing. And we actually are going to get into that. We did see that Sonoi was painting a beautiful picture, and he's finally done with it. We see that Sonoza is crying, and he's super in love with Haruka's new manga, and he tells her that, hey, it's a masterpiece. I have nothing else to freaking teach you now. You're good. And she's like, no, I still need you. I need you to keep guiding me. He's like, all right, won't be easy, but I like how they're starting to have. I like how they have these relationships with the Sarah brand, even though the Sarah brand is supposed to be their freaking enemies, sworn enemies. I like how they do have some type of friendships with these people. And we did see a scene where Jiru was showing a picture saying that he's going back to the countryside to go see Rumi-chan and all the people, and he asks Taro to go with him, and he says, I'm going to see my surrogate father technically. And Taro basically agrees to go with him, and he basically says that, hey man, he's part of the Don clan just like me, so I kind of would like to see where he came, how his life was and where he came from, stuff like that. So next episode we're gonna see that. And So we see Jiro pulls out his phone, and he's looking at him, a picture of him and Rumi, and he tries to show it to Kijino, but then when Kijino looks at the photo, it's just Jiro in the picture, and Rumi-chan is gone. So what's happening there? That's the huge bombshell that they threw out right there. Like, what's happening here? What's that going on? But we did see that Tsubasa ends up finding Natsumi, well, Juto Natsumi, and he ends up fighting her. He ends up telling she does tell him that if you do kill me, you know, I'm immortal technically. If you kill me, then Natsumi is gonna die. But he doesn't believe her because of what Sonoi has told him. So he's fighting her, stuff like that. And then for some reason he jumps out of his ranger form. He calls forth Murasame, and then he slices her. But she doesn't die though. He ends up slicing her, and she gets ready to deal the final blow. But we see that Sonoi was watching this fight the whole time, and she runs in, she pushes Natsumi out of the way, and he ends up slashing her with Murasame. So also, Murasame doesn't talk at all in this episode. He doesn't transform at all in this episode. We just see him in his sword form. So yeah. So he ends up he's like, why did you jump in the way of that? Why did you do that? And then she was like, I lied to you. He's like, I lied to you. She started, I guess Sonoi's basically having feelings for Tsubasa, and she just didn't want to see him sad, or she didn't want him to be the killer of his love and stuff like that. So she tells him that, yeah, I lied to you. If you do kill her, then Natsumi's gonna die as well. So Tsubasa, he gets kind of pissed off at her, but that's when Sonoza and Sonoi, they come in and it's like, hey man, we'll take care of her. You get out of here. Get out of here. So we see that Sonoi gets ready to like execute her because she ended up becoming human, and basically she ends up starting to start to understand humans, and basically we're supposed to feed off of humans. We're not supposed to be friends with them. We're not supposed to help them. We're not supposed to care about them. And you kind of did all that, so he's getting ready to execute her. When he gets ready to execute her, he can't do it. He drops his sword, and that's when Sonoza tries to do it as well, and he can as well. And then that's when Sonoi says that, yeah, we've become just like you. We've started to love humans and have emotions and things like that. And then they end up letting her go. So she leaves to go follow Tsubasa. But man, we see Natsumi is on her way trying to get away from Tsubasa. She ends up running into Taro, and he talks to her about like, why did you what happened to you? And she tells him that like, it doesn't matter because I understand humans are way more than you actually do. And that's kind of true, because like Taro's kind of basically like an emotionless guy. We all know how Taro is, and Taro really isn't that type of person that understands anything. He doesn't understand people having dreams and happiness and stuff. He doesn't understand people, essentially. He was born that way. So she ends up leaving, and she ends up going back home. And that's when Kijino comes and he finds her. But while this is going on, we find out that there's some guy out there in the office space who's mad about not getting freaking praise. So he feels bad. He wants people to praise him and like him and stuff like that. But he ends up transforming into the Bioman. I think, was it the Bioman Hitotsuki? Let me know down in the comment section below what Hitotsuki this was. But I think it is the Bioman Hitotsuki. And while he's running around, he's making people basically just compliment him and say, hey, you look good in this. Hey, you look good in that. Stuff like that. But he ends up eating people. I mean, every freaking Hitotsuki, for some reason, just has a freaking ability where they're eating something or making people disappear or transforming people into something. It's so freaking weird. But so he's off. We see him. He runs off. So, but he's gonna come back into play later anyway. So we see that Natsumi ends up she turns into Miho again. She goes back to being Miho, I think. But she ends up going back home, and then that's when Kijino ends up finding her. She sees that she's bleeding and stuff like that, and she just mutters Tsubasa's name, and that's when Tsubasa basically sends a message to Black Kaito, telling and Black Kaito ends up telling Tsubasa, hey, and he said, hey man, Kijino wants to meet you at a park. Kijino wants to meet you on the rooftop, and yeah, Kijino wants to meet you on the rooftop. Apparently, it's important. So he ends up meeting him. He ends up meeting up with him there, and he basically says that, oh, you were the one that attacked her. He was like, yeah, I was, but she was a bestial. And like Kijino is just out for freaking blood. He's seeing red. He's not listening to nothing Tsubasa's trying to tell him. And they ended up fighting. They ended up battling each other. And that's when Kijino actually transforms and actually hits Tsubasa. And then Tsubasa transforms in front of him, not realizing he has so much fear, and he has so much freaking rage going on. He doesn't notice the fact that Tsubasa just transformed into Inu brother. And they're still fighting each other. And while they're fighting, the freaking Hitotsuki actually shows up. That Hitotsuki ends up showing up. And then that's when the rest of the crew ends up showing up. And we also saw how Kijino basically blasted the hell out of Tsubasa, all the way to the point where he actually de-henchened. Like, he turned back to his civilian form. And that's when the Bioman Hitotsuki shows up, and they actually start like battling him. Well, we end up seeing that just when Kijino was about to finish off Inu brother, well, Tsubasa, we see that Sonoi actually jumps in the way, and she actually ends up getting blasted by Kijino's hit. And it ends up hurting her even more. She already got slashed by a sword. Now she just got shot by a big blast. Your girl's gonna die. Like, it feels like she's going to freaking die. So, but then that's when the Hitotsuki ends up showing up, and he's constantly talking to. He doesn't notice he's kind of constantly talking to Sonoi and trying to get him to praise her. And then that's when Tsubasa and Kijino try to protect her by pushing the guy off of him, pushing the Hitotsuki dude off of her. But then that's when the rest of everybody else shows up, and they ended up all transforming together. Like, everyone was there. They saw Tsubasa there. They saw Tsubasa standing there. He transformed. But they did it so freaking casually, like they've always been doing it, and they just didn't realize or didn't notice that the dude just transformed just like them. He's the pupper. He's the dog. And they didn't even notice. So they ended up fighting off the Hitotsuki dude. No mecha fight for this episode either. And then that's when Sonoi, she leaves. She's all beat up. She falls down the stairs. I'm like, in slow motion. I'm like, come on. And then it starts snowing. And then also Tsubasa runs up to her. He saves her, but she's getting ready to die. But we end up seeing Black Kaito open up the laptop and brings up the point system, and we see that Tsubasa has a lot of points. And then Kaito ends up using all of Tsubasa's point, well, except 2 points, using all those points up and actually saving Sonoi, actually saving her. And when he saves her, he puts her down, and he says, look, either leave me alone, just don't talk to me ever again. I don't want to see you ever again. And then he ends up leaving that way. He ends up leaving that way. And then we go back to Haruka. She's at home and she's eating, but she has something on her mind. I feel like I'm forgetting something very important. And then she goes to bed, and then she wakes up and says, wait a minute. Tsubasa's Inu brother. Tsubasa's the pupper. It's him. And the episode ends off right there. And then next episode, we're gonna get the debut of 3 new Cerebrand. Well, 2 new Cerebrand actually, because the red guy's coming back. But we get the introduction to 2 new Cerebrand, and they're actually gonna. I guess they're trying to kill. I guess they're trying to destroy Sonoi, and Sonoza, because they basically betrayed the Cerebrand race. And yeah, we see a full group picture of them with the Donbrothers all teamed up. So I wonder how powerful these guys are actually gonna be. It's 2 guys and a girl. So yeah, I wonder how powerful these guys are actually gonna freaking be. But man, this was a great episode. We finally got the all 6 transforming together thing, man. I was so ready for it to end. Oh, thank God. But it just, the way they did it, I just don't like. I'm like, dang, I hope they freaking mention it in the next episode. You have to. You freaking have to at this point. because they know who he is, and Haruka's like, what? This is weird. So, but this whole bombshell thing that got going on with Rumi not being in the picture. Rumi not being in the picture with Jiru. Like, I'm thinking that, Jiru, probably his whole village is nothing but freaking Juto, is nothing but like beastials, and possibly why Kijino couldn't see them, or probably a bunch of penguin beastials all in this village, and they just don't know yet. And I'm wondering, well, when Rumi made that food that made Jiru, that made Taro go all in the sky, and it was so freaking good, maybe she was just taking and using some skills that the Dawn clan eventually, taught them, I guess, because the beastials were created by the Dawn clan. Maybe that's what happened. Like, I don't understand. Like, why is this being a thing now? Like, why is this a bombshell now? You got 6 episodes left. Why are you doing this right now? You should have been like kind of foreshadowing to this at least, because Rumi always seemed like she was real. She always seemed like she was real. So I'm wondering, like, how is this? What's happening? But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about episode 44 of Donbrothers. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and remember, stay henshined.